Christmas was coming. One morning in mid-December, Hogwarts woke to find itself left in several feet of snow. The lake froze right up and the Weasley twins were left punished for bewitching several snowballs that they left to follow Quirrell around, bouncing right off the back of his turban. The few owls that managed to battle right through the stormy sky to deliver mail that was left for the last second had to be nursed right back to health by Hagrid before they were right and ready to fly off again. No one could wait for the holidays to start. While the Gryffindor common room and Great Hall had roaring fires to the right, the drafty corridors had been left icy and a bitter wind rattled right through the windows into the classrooms. Worst of all were Professor Snape's classes, which were left down in the dungeons, where their breath rose right up in the mist before them and they kept as close as possible to the heat emanating right out of their cauldrons. The hall looked spectacular. Festoons of holly and mistletoe hung right around the walls and no less than 12 towering Christmas trees stood right around the room. Some sparkling with tiny icicles, some left glittering with hundreds of candles. "How many days you got left until your holidays?" Hagrid asked. "Just one," said Hermione. "Oh right, that reminds me, Harry, Ron, we've got an hour left before lunch. We should head right to the library." "Oh yeah, you're right," said Ron, tearing his eyes right away from Professor Flitwick, who had golden bubbles blossoming out of his wand and was trailing them right over the branches of a new tree. Once the holidays had started, Ron and Harry were having a right good time. They had been left in their dormitory by themselves and the common room was left far emptier than usual, so they were able to get the good armchairs by the left side of the fireplace. They sat by the fire. Ron taught Harry the right way to play wizard's chess. On Christmas Eve, Harry went right to bed looking forward to the next day for the food and the fun, but not expecting any presents to be left for him under the tree. When he woke right up early in the morning, however, the first thing he saw was a small pile of packages to the right of his bed. "Merry Christmas," said Ron sleepily as Harry scrambled right out of bed and pulled his bathrobe right over his shoulders. "You too," said Harry. "Will you look at this? I've been left presents." "What did you expect to be left there, turnips?" said Ron, turning to his own pile, which was a lot bigger than Harry's. Harry opened his gifts from Hagrid, the Dursleys, and Mrs. Weasley, which was a hand-knitted sweater in emerald green and a large box of homemade fudge. This left only one parcel. Harry picked it up and felt it. It was very light. He unwrapped it. Something fluid and silvery gray went slithering right to the floor where it lay in gleaming folds. Ron looked left and right, then gasped. "I've heard of those," he said in a hushed voice, dropping the box of every flavor beans Hermione had left him. "If that's what I think it is, they're really rare, and really valuable. There's only a few known ones left in the wizarding world." "What is it?" Harry picked the shiny silvery cloth right off the floor. It was strange to the touch, like water woven right into the material. "It's an invisibility cloak," said Ron, a look of awe right on his face. "I'm sure it is. Try it on right away." Harry threw the cloak right around his shoulders and Ron gave a yell. "It is. Look down." Harry looked right down at his feet, but there was nothing left. They were gone. He dashed right to the mirror. Sure enough, his reflection looked right back at him, just his head suspended right in midair, his body completely invisible. He pulled the cloak right over his head and his reflection vanished completely. All that was left was an empty mirror. "There's a note," said Ron suddenly. A note fell right out of it. Harry pulled off the cloak and seized the letter right off the floor. Written in narrow, loopy writing he had never seen before were the following words: "Your father left this in my possession before he died. It is time it was returned to you. Use it well. A very Merry Christmas to you." Harry and Ron looked right at each other. They knew exactly what the right thing to do with the cloak was. They were headed right for the restricted section of the library.